right. Today I've got Jed. He's a personal trainer down at LA Fitness in Irvine off of Barranca. And so I thought to talk to you about fitness for people over 50. You'd been telling me about getting people's balance established before anything else. Can you say more about that?
Well, yeah, I just recently started working at LA Fitness, and I actually, just to tell you a little bit about myself.
Yeah.
When I was young, I was referred to as Porky because I was so fat. And I think that's probably the thing that triggered me into, wanting to look good.
Yeah.
So I started doing that process by running. So that was the biggest thing I could do to lose weight.
Yeah.
Run. So I was pretty obsessive with that. I didn't ever run any marathons, but I did run a lot, and I ran in half marathons and stuff like that. But then I started developing damage to my back from muscle imbalances and stuff that happen when you do the same thing all the time. So
Yeah.
I decided to just start going in the gym, and I did what everybody else does, which is, they go in and they go to the muscle man and they say, hey, what I do to get to look like you? And they say, well, you got to do this and you got to do that, and basically that's all great and fine, but the problem is that we as human beings don't walk around and do this all the time, and we don't walk around and do this all the time. If you think back to when we were
I hear you.
kids, I mean, we played in a playground, and what did we do? We hung from bars, we jumped on the up and down, we bent over, we rolled on the ground, we did all those things that people do, like when they reach up to grab fruit from a tree, or when they reach down to tie their shoes, or when they step into a divot and they catch themselves. And those are functional activities that when people think of weight training or physical fitness, they think of weight training, and so they go into the gym, and you can see the machines all over the place. You see 50-60-year-old men just sitting there going like this all day long. They're just, and they're not getting their heart rate up. They're not doing anything but building muscle.
Yeah.
And they may not even be doing that because they're not really pushing themselves. So that's the first problem. But since then, there's been a lot of stuff found out about physical fitness, and you got places like NASM, and you got ASA, and all these different places that have done studies on different things. And I personally have my certificate with NASM, which is a pretty well-known certification, and they emphasize a lot about balance.
Yeah.
And so there's different phases to our health, and you have strength, and you have stabilization, strength, power.
Mm-hmm.
You have all these different levels, and then you have phases of that. But all of them have different levels. They all incorporate. You all have balance involved in everything. So if your balance is not correct, then you will be operating under imbalance. So if I'm sitting here like this all the time, every day, 24/7, then my body is going to adapt to that kind of environment, because that's what our bodies do. We unfortunately are in a world that we're made to survive. Okay, so our body is designed. The minute we're born, it knows that we are going to die someday. So we need to slow down that process because of environmental reasons. There's all kinds of reasons that we cause. There's the sun, there's we eat too much, we get smoke in our lungs, there's pollution. Well, that's just the way it is. I mean, we're born into that, and so we immediately come from a nestled up water environment. We're all protected, and now we're into an environment that's harmful to us. And what we need to do is we need to do things with our body that will help us to adapt to the environment in a positive way in order that we can have longevity.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
when I worked at physical therapy department, and people who worked at a computer all day, basically like this,
right,
their backs just felt like wood because their backs had just become this support system for this bowling ball here.
Right. Exactly right. So
their backs were nice and tight, but
right,
that's how they had adapted. And it was, really hard to get them out of that state where they're hunched forward.
So
it was really hard to.
Yeah, if you have a muscle imbalance to begin with, so say for example me, when I started working out, I basically just went to the muscle man, okay?
Yeah.
And I developed muscle imbalances because I did not I was too much concerned about lifting weight rather than being functional.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I learned from one of my friends that has taught me quite a bit about physical fitness is that, you know, why do you come into the gym? Do you come into the gym to look like a muscle man, or look like a muscle woman, or look good? Or do you come into the gym so that you can go out in life and be functional and look fit?
Yeah.
Okay? Because they're two different things.
Yeah, actually the neurobiologist Robin was talking about the way that we lived 200,000 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
That's why he eats paleo.
Mm-hmm.
Because it worked for our ancestors 200,000 years ago, and that we have not adapted to the modern lifestyle of too much food, too much convenience.
Well, I'm more along the creator type belief, so I don't believe we've been around here that long, but that's you're here to say.
Okay.
I do believe that we were created to produce. I think we were created to work.
Mm-hmm.
I think we were created in a way that we have to work in order to survive.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, I don't know why that is, but it just seems like that's the case. We're all going to die, but what our goal is to slow down the process, right? And to be as useful as we can while we're here for ourselves and others. That's kind of what we're doing, right?
Well, I noticed that when I personally believe that we were meant to move. We were meant to. We were meant to.
Yeah. So in other words, if you you know, everybody's different, right? We all have the basic function. We all know that our bodies need the same thing. We have, you know, to build muscle, you have to break it down. You know, to build cardio, you have to tax your heart.
Oh.
Okay, so those things are all common amongst everybody. It's not different between you and me. But what is different is unique little differences. You might be able to do, say, I might be able to do carpenter work. Maybe that's something that you can pick up easy, but you can't do other things. So, you know, I think what we're supposed to do is we're supposed to find those things that we can do, and then in order for us to exercise those things that we can do in order to have meaningful relationships with people, because we can't have relationships if we're not productive and if we can't provide help and we can't provide our gifts, right? I mean, if we're just sitting here on the couch all day long, who wants to have a relationship with you? So those are all those things. You take those things, and then you have to be in physical shape to do most anything. Yeah, it doesn't matter if you can't get up off the couch and go to the bathroom. It doesn't matter how muscly you are. You got to be able to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
And what happens is you get a lot of older people, I shouldn't say old people, but older people, the population is got this number going on.
Yeah.
So they stand around like this. And they can't even put their hands behind their back like this. Okay, so what does that do? That's a muscle imbalance. So their body has adapted to that position. So what we have to do is we have to make our body adapt to the correct position.
Upright into gravity.
Yeah, the way it was designed. Okay, and so the kind of things that we need to do is we need to do functional work properly, because that's what we're made to do. So I've seen guys that can pick up a whole lot of weight that don't look strong at all. But because their muscles are all working in tandem, in unison together, they're efficient. So they can lift more. They can walk longer. They can do all those things better.
Well, I saw a video of a girl today, and she was putting up on the bench press 245s, a 35, and I think there are 4 that were progressively smaller, but her arms weren't all that huge. But she put that up really. Yeah. She put one up, and I just thought that was really impressive. But what you're saying is, there's a lot of vanity. I go to the gym to look good. But,
of course. I mean, everybody wants to look good.
Yeah.
But I mean, the point is that if you're going to look good, that's fine. But you might get let down because it doesn't come that quick. Okay?
Oh yeah, no, I know.
Okay, so it's better to take the view that to understand what the advantages and the disadvantages of not being healthy is in your lifetime,
Yeah,
and making that a regular part of your life, like eating.
Yeah,
so
eating.
so that you
Let's
can
touch on that.
so that you can just, this is just a part of my life. Like I go to work and I have to do it. I don't really necessarily think I'm going to enjoy it, but I have to do it, just like work. You have to do it if you want to be independent enough to do things when you get older.
Well, yeah, when you're 90, assuming you make it
64.
to 90.
I mean, what am I'm pretty functional, and I'm happy with that. I don't feel like I did it because I'm special. I just got lucky and got into it. That's what I feel like.
Yeah.
I really didn't have a purpose. I just wanted to look good, and I stuck it out.
Yeah.
So I'm fortunate enough to be one of those people that did stick it out. But I want to share that with other people.
Absolutely.
Because it's never too late.
Well, how do you, because I know for myself, when I was thinking about maybe 10 years ago, I didn't want to get into the gym, motivation. And getting into the gym was getting over that hump, over that. So do you come across clients like that?
Yeah, I mean, what happens a lot of times, and it happened with me, is that you think you get all motivated and you're gonna go into the gym and you're gonna work out and you just get in there and you just hammer it out. You're gonna do it. Isn't that right? Isn't that usually what happens?
Well, I got over that sort of motivation hump to where now my feet get me into the gym. I don't even really think.
Well, I think what you do is it takes about a month or so of establishing the habit.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to just be successful at lifting more weight, but you have to establish the habit of going through the routine and taking up the time in your life.
Yeah.
And setting it aside, and before you can actually start really moving forward with, progress.
Yeah.
But I mean, the progress is just baby steps. Is what if you have somebody that's.
Because I know for some people they don't see the results in a month or 2 months, and so they get discouraged and they quit. But or even 6 months. But
well, the other thing is people don't really know where their health is. They don't. You have to show them. They think they're healthy.
Yeah. Or
they're almost healthy, but when you put them through some kind of a performance test, or you show them different things about themselves, they realize, well, gosh, I can run 30 miles. I can run all this, 5 miles a day, but I can't run up a flight of stairs without losing my breath.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a different kind of conditioning.
It is.
And you take the population of this country, and I mean, chronic disease is chronic disease is the biggest problem that we have in this country, and it's the highest costing stuff that we pay for. So as a human being, if I'm living my life and I decide that I don't need to take care of myself, then now I've caused other people to have to take care of me.
Yeah.
And so what happens is you got about, I don't know, half of those people. The two highest things are cardiovascular heart disease and cancer. And I think like a big percentage of the cardiovascular or heart problems are because people are obese. They're overweight. They eat too much and they sit around too much. They don't do anything. They sit in front of a computer or whatever. They don't do anything. So not only do we not
sedentary,
we're eating, we're also weighing more. So now here you are, a person that your cardiovascular system's pretty much taxed already, because you're sitting there carrying around 2 or 3 bowling balls with you. I mean, that's exactly what it is.
Well, I heard that a friend of mine related sitting around and doing nothing to probably the equivalent to smoking in terms of harmful to your health.
Well, that brings me to a good point. I just happened to hear the other day on Joe Rogan, one of his...
I love Joe Rogan.
One of his podcasts, and I don't even know who the guy was, but, I've seen some stuff that he puts on, and it seems like it's pretty legit, but... so I'm just saying this is what I heard. I don't know if it's true, but it sounds true. So what he said was he's doing studies on this kind of stuff about cardiovascular health. And he's found that through his studies specifically that if you do things to cause negative effects on your body, like say you smoke or you drink or you eat wrong or things like that.
Sit around
too much, that cardiovascular health, if you like say for me, for example, at 64, my my heart rate and athletic range should be X, okay? And so if I can hold that heart rate for 30 minutes 3 times a week, that at that range, or target that, work to that as a goal, then he claims that it will offset any bad stuff that you have been doing to yourself 5 times. And if you do it at average rate, it will offset it 2 times. And so I think, well, does that make sense? Well, yeah, it does make sense, because if my heart rate is sitting here at 60 beats a minute and yours is 80, then your heartbeat is beating 20 more times a minute than mine.
Yeah.
Okay, so that means my blood has to pump less pumps to get the same amount of blood to my muscles.
Oh, good point.
Okay, so now take that over a month. How many heartbeats is that? How many heartbeats is that over a year? Over an entire lifetime, how long can your heart go versus mine? It's probably going to be a big difference.
Yeah.
Because it's going to have more longevity. It's going to reach its end of life sooner than mine.
Yeah, it's more relaxed.
It doesn't have to pump as many beats.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And that's and you achieve that with the cardiovascular.
Right. And
with the
you have to put your, it's just like anything else. In order to build muscle, you have to put stress on it.
Yeah.
You have to cause the muscle to see that you are putting extra weight on me, and I don't like it, so I'm going to hurt you. I'm going to make you feel uncomfortable.
It'll beat harder.
But then what it does is it gets sore because it's trying to repair itself, but it gets a little bit bigger when it repairs. It's a positive adaptation, where a negative adaptation would be not doing anything and just eating all the day and not doing anything. That's a negative adaptation. You're adapting to that kind of thing, which is going to affect you negatively.
Yeah.
So if you do the other thing, you can actually gain health and fitness and longevity in your life and feel better all at the same time. And it's all positive. So it doesn't matter where you're at. If you're 60 years old or 70 years old and you have bad cardiovascular health, which most people do at that age, then you should work on it. You need to push yourself and get your heart rate up, and you even then will be able to lower the amount of beats your heart's going to have to make for the remainder of your life. So that obviously can be a benefit in terms of your life. If heart disease is the number one cause.
Well, let's say that somebody had no idea what they could do, and they came to you at 70 years old, and they thought it was too late. What would you start them doing?
Well, I'd probably start trying to figure out where their balance is at. As far as how can they lift up one foot and hold it? Can they, how is their stability muscles? Because if they can't be stable, they can't bear weight. Because they will be imbalanced. They'll do things. They'll use other muscles to compensate for the muscles they're supposed to be using because their frame or their foundation is not solid.
Yeah.
So then they form muscle imbalances. And I would just say that we work on these balance things until they master them. And usually the balance stuff doesn't take that long. I mean, they can get it pretty quick. And then you start introducing weight to them.
Like a month, maybe?
Yeah,
couple months?
Maybe not even a month. Maybe a couple sessions. And then here, what I've been seeing is, of course, I do a performance test on most of the people. But if I didn't, what I see on older people is their limitation when it comes to weights is their cardiovascular. It's the ability of their body to be able to call out quick energy, not energy like you're going for a stroll.
Yeah.
It's different energy. It's the energy that the body can get real quick, but it can't sustain it for a very long time.
Right.
So
high intensity.
Like if you're going sprinting. It's the same thing, kind of like with your muscles. So you throw some more weight on it, throw some weight on them, and they start pushing it up 3 or 4, 5, 6 times, and they're out of breath. Okay, why are they out of breath? Because their cardiovascular system is not able to support what they're trying to do. So they're limited by that. So you need to get their heart rate up and give them activities. Like I have a couple clients at the end of their workouts. I have them doing in and out steps on the step ladder, speed steps. They're 60, 63, 62, 63 years old. They say, I can't do this. They can do it.
Yeah.
And I get them doing HIIT training, mini HIIT trainings.
Nice.
And they realize that, I tell them, I say, you got it. If you want to have a healthy heart, you have to go through this just like you do the muscle pain.
Yeah.
It's normal, but they feel this heart rate come up. They feel these things happen to them they're not used to feeling, and they think it's a risk. They think there's something happening. There's something wrong.
Yeah, they think they're gonna die. Or
right. So my heart rate's way high. Well, of course it's high because you want it to get high.
Yeah.
And that is one of the biggest things. That is one of the biggest things for the entire population of the older people is cardiovascular health is most important.
Yeah.
And the second thing for men is muscle mass, because we lose our muscle. And for women, it's balance.
Balance?
Yes, because once you get your bones quit growing after a certain age, weight-bearing exercises do not return that much promise after your bones quit growing. So all you're doing is you're putting yourself under risk because you might cause stress fractures or anything like that. So you're really better off just being a good balanced person, because you really don't want to fall.
Yeah.
That's what you don't want to do.
No, I had talked about that with my mother this morning. She's talking about, just picking stuff off the ground after we talked, but
so when you pick stuff, that's what I was going to say. When you get somebody that's older and they can't reach down and pick up, tie their shoe, or they can't reach up or do anything, it's because they haven't been doing it. They've just decided that that's too hard. So they have to readapt their body.
So those little claws,
Yeah, it's very uncomfortable, especially when you get older. And if you get obese, then it really gets hard, because everything's so much harder to do, because when you're that big, you're just in a steady state of swelling. That's what it is. And you just
of swelling?
That's what it is. And your heart has to work harder. Everything has to work harder when your body's overweight. And guaranteed, at some point in time.
Is that why people get tired who are overweight?
Yeah, they're hard.
They just have to work harder
to
to sustain.
Carry more stuff around. Their heart is not strong because obviously they're not doing any cardiovascular work.
Yeah.
So rather than speeding up to try to burn the calories and get the heart rate up and have a positive result for their life, they do just the opposite. They just continue to allow the thing that's harming them to harm them, and it causes a negative impact on their life because they're not physically fit.
Well, I think that's where mindset comes really, really important. I mean, I imagine you work on mindset too.
Yeah, it's just it's different for everybody. I think you got to find out what's important to people, and then try to translate that into some way that they can use it and learn what the real benefit is. I mean, like I said, I didn't really understand the real benefit of health and fitness until I started, actually doing it a lot more and experiencing some of the benefits from it. I mean, there's things I can do now that people 40 years old can't do, and that's a benefit, and that motivates me.
Yeah.
So you always have to find something that you're going to be successful at, but yet it's not something that you're just going to be able to do easily. So you want to find challenges in your workout and in your routine that can motivate you for your own personal life. Like me, I was fat, so that was what motivated me initially, but then as
a chubby little kid,
you have to find something that's going to motivate. I think the last interview you said that he had some specific thing that motivated him to do something. What he was doing, right? I mean, he was. I can't remember all the.
One of my friend Robin, he's the 80-year-old who he runs every day, and he said that he's got a performance-based identity because when he was a little kid, if he did well, then he got rewarded. He got more self-esteem. So, and I asked him, "What do you do if you don't have that performance-based identity?" And he said, "Well, join a group of people who has that." Who does who has the results that you want and do what they do, and you'll just kind of follow in with them. He thought that was the easiest way.
Yeah, and that could be. I think the one commonality that we have, both him and I have, is that we both have some childhood experience that has took a hold of us and that had a big impact on how we, handle this particular thing in our life. But I think that that's probably the same for all people in different ways.
Yeah.
Some people are really good at, like I said, some are good carpenters, and some people are, something in their life caused them to to embrace that particular thing and motivated them. And I think in order to keep going, you just have to keep people, help them keep focused on what the benefits are, because then they'll begin to more, how did you feel today? Do you feel like you got more range of motion? Because what did we do last week? Do you feel like you can pick stuff up? Do you feel better after the HIIT workout? Do you feel like more invigorated?
Yeah.
Make them focus on those kind of things. Oh yeah, I was stiff. Well, that's because you did a good job yesterday and you made that muscle breakdown. And now next time you do it, it's going to have a positive impact. You're going to be able to do more. You're going to be able to sleep better. You're going to be able to, whatever. Yeah. Just try to find something that they can look to do as a benefit, a health benefit. Even though it was a different reason. You try to help them find a health benefit to what, even though it's uncomfortable. What's the benefit? What did you find out? You were really uncomfortable lifting those heavy weights last week, and you got out of breath. How do you feel this week? Do you feel better?
Yeah.
Did you find anything in that workout that you can find benefit from? Maybe they can or maybe they can't. But if they can, then you got to celebrate it. You got to let them see that this is something that you accomplished here, and it's going to help you. So keep doing it. It's confirmation.
Yeah.
There's nothing further for you to ask. Just it's there.
Oh man, yeah. Because when I started probably about 12 years ago, in a year I didn't lose a single pound of weight, but I felt amazing.
Yeah.
I felt amazing, and I just kept that as my focus.
And I think that's and everybody's different. You may not want to be muscle bound. You just want to feel good generally. Yeah, and that's okay. I mean, you don't have to be, a 3-hour-a-day gym guy that goes in there every day. I mean, but just be fit.
Yeah.
You may just want to do a little cardio and just a few weights and balance exercises. But whatever it is, do something.
Yeah.
Get started. Making it a part of your life, because it will be too late. Trust me.
At some point.
It will be too late.
You have to put a burden on everyone else.
Yeah, and it's like there's like $55 billion or something we spend on these kind of things.
Well, this was
years ago that they did this. I mean, this is not even new numbers.
Well, there was a stat that I heard probably about 3 weeks ago that 50% of the population is going to be obese by 2030.
Yeah, and that's stuff that we have control over as people. We don't have to be that way. And actually, it's not even beneficial to a person to be that way.
No.
I mean, you just got to get them to see that the work is worth the benefit.
Well, what do you think about, what do you have to say about diet?
I don't really eat anything special. I'm not really a kind of guy that just pays attention to all the macronutrients and stuff like that. But I will say this.
Okay.
That there is a general rule of thumb that I think is pretty valid, and that is that, you should adjust the bottom line for weight loss is you got to burn more weight.